So why are we talking about this movie today? Well, there's a lot of connections to Northern California. First and foremost, a lot of the movie was filmed in Crescent City, right up there in the North Coast. And you can really tell some of the scenes, some of the plants are very North Coast-esque. They're very Northern California, Humboldt County, Del Norte County-esque. So you can really see the NorCal influence on this movie. Also, supposedly this movie is based in NorCal.
Yeah.
There is a specific scene where Elliot points to where they're at on a map.
And you and I have critiqued that scene, maybe in finer detail than any other.
We will get into that here in a second. So as you're rewatching this movie for the first time in a long time, where can you tell it's NorCal?
Woods. Anytime you see trees and in the woods, to me, for the most part, other than maybe looking over the hilltop, is NorCal. Anything in the neighborhood, not so much.
Southern California.
Definitely suburban Southern California. But yeah, every time that they go, I think they call it the bald spot. Every time that they go out into the woods, that's clearly Northern California.
Yeah, and the movie opens up with aliens cruising around the forest and some people chasing after them. But that's clearly NorCal. That's clearly the forest of the North Coast. This movie was basically filmed half in NorCal and half in Southern California. There's a lot of scenes that are obviously Southern California, and it's frustrating. I think back in 1982, before the internet, before people would just go off on these movies, it didn't matter. They just said, "Oh, it's California." When some of that terrain is clearly Southern California, where clearly some of it is also Northern California.
Well, I also don't think Steven Spielberg ever thought somebody would scrutinize as much as we are the location.
Of
filmed his films,
of both where it was filmed and also where the movie takes place. So let's talk about this. Where exactly does this take place? Where exactly does Elliot live?
Well, in the picture that he points, he's basically pointing to right at the right where the point is between Nevada and California.
So Lake Tahoe, there's the line of California that comes down from Modoc County through Lassen County, and it hits Lake Tahoe and it curves. And he points directly below that curve.
Right, which is Northern California, but it's a very general area. Then right after that, when he's trying to give E.T. a more global perspective of where he is, he gets out his globe and he points to the state of California. So
he points, it's in the general direction, but it looks like Vacaville almost.
Yeah, two guys that were scrutinizing, trying to figure out exactly where this was supposed to take place. We both took pictures. We both paused when it came to that scene, and so we definitely critiqued it. It being filmed in Crescent City, that's where I want it to be based, is the kind of Crescent City area. There is kind of that valley that is very much a scene that they keep going back to. At the beginning scene where they're chasing E.T., he ends up at this kind of hill that looks into a valley. That's not Northern California, even though they kind of mean for it to look as such. Yeah.
So there's exactly where he points is it's around like Markleyville on Highway 89 or Alpine Village, or you could even say maybe Kirkwood area. But here's my issue with that. When they're up in the forest and they look down onto the city or the town or whatever, it's a big town. It's a somewhat large population, and then there's mountains on the other side.
So it's like the valley. It's like a valley.
It's like a valley.
Yeah.
It's like a Southern California valley. And, so if it was in the area he pointed, you'd be looking at maybe like the South Lake Tahoe area, which looks nothing like that. You would see a lake and you would see casinos. All the other towns around that area are too small I guess so you could be in the hills and looking down at like Gardnerville, but that's Nevada. He says he lives in California. Maybe he lives maybe more in the Pollock Pines, Placerville area, to which you're looking down at Sacramento. That's a possibility, or like Folsom or Auburn. I don't know. Obviously, this is a fictitious movie, and we're going way too deep into it. But this is stuff that you could get away with in 1982. Now, with people like us that want to look at every little detail of the movie, you can't get away with it.
Right.